Well, welcome to the MAM journals, and today I'm just going to do a short review on my Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. I bought this bike last year, and obviously beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think it's old-fashioned but attractive, or in one word, a quaint looking motorbike. But there's nothing quaint about Royal Enfield. I think a lot of people perceive that it's a small company, but actually Royal Enfield itself is a subsidiary of a very large Indian international automotive company. And just to give you an idea of scale, Royal Enfield is a subsidiary of the main business, and in the numbers I've seen, in 2018, Royal Enfield made 846,000 bikes. So that's no cottage industry. I'll give you an idea of scale and comparison, different measures, but probably valid. In 2016, year to date, or full year 2016, Triumph sold 63,400 bikes. So that just gives you an idea of quite how big an enterprise this is. They're a very progressive modern company and have, according to the reports I've read, some of the highest quality assembly plants in the industry, which is interesting to hear. This particular bike is one of the UK's best sellers. Of course, it's based or reflective of the first Interceptor, which was made in the UK by Royal Enfield in 1960. That was actually a 692cc, but for the and they didn't make many of them. And for the anoraks amongst us, they actually made 158 of those. And they brought out a new model in 1962, which was a 736cc, and was obviously called the 750. This particular bike was launched in Milan in November 17 and general release in 2018. This particular model is called Ravishing Red. 2 tones extra on them, but this bike new when I bought it was £5,700. So remarkable value for money. Let's have a walk around and we'll talk about what my initial views are. Coming to the front of the bike, you can see it's fitted with a single disc. They've actually had a brake recall on them, but I think it's based on corrosion rather than any sort of misperformance. But others may know better than I. I would describe them as adequate. Nothing stunning, but it's not a performance bike, and as such, you don't need extraordinary brakes. The forks are 41mm, and again, in terms of performance, fine but not sophisticated. And it's quite a nice upright angle, which I'll touch on again when we do the riding. So, nice simplistic instrument cluster. It's got ABS. Because it's requirement for a bike of this cc in the UK, but there's nothing other than that in terms of technology or riding aids, and neither, in my view, does it need it. It's not that sort of a bike. So let's talk about the engine. Right, it's a 48 actually, cc water-cooled twin. It's got 44 brake horsepower. I've read somewhere by people who've done, proper engineers who've done tests on it. They say it produces about 40 at the rear wheel. In terms of torque, 52.3 Newton meters at 5150. The bike has been tested at 105 miles an hour, but if I'm honest, if we're talking about how fast it goes, we're probably sort of missing the point, really. That's not what this bike is about. Exhaust, it's got twin exhausts, and it's actually got a lovely, pleasant, deep I would describe it as a burble as you go along. It's not a single, so it doesn't thump, but it is actually a very nice sound. It's not excessive and it's got a nice tone to it. I also think the bike would be quite a nice, I haven't had it long or haven't done many miles on it anyway. I think it'd be quite fun to keep that clean. Fortunately, I like cleaning bikes, so it's for me, it's part of the joy. That seat height is 31.7 inches, so comparatively tall, and it's actually extenuated by the fact that where your feet come and in relation to those foot pegs, you can sort of catch yourself in the calf as you're going down. You do have to go round the foot pegs when you put foot down, so those with, like me, vertically challenged, you might have to get comfortable with just getting the ball of your foot rather than the heel of your foot down when you're riding it. So what's it actually like to ride? Sorry, I just talked about the rear shocks really. Don't be fooled by that sophisticated looking piggyback rear shock. It's a fairly basic unit. The bike's fitted with 18-inch wheels and fairly narrow tyres. I think they're 190 on the front and 130/70s on the back, but completely in keeping with it. So what's it like to ride? I would describe it as easy, agile and fun. It's got nice torque to it. It feels light, but I think that's because of the riding position, the handlebars and the rake, but it actually isn't a particularly light bike. Just to give you comparisons there quickly as I walk around the garage, that's a Suzuki 750, that's 419 pounds. That Kawasaki is 473 pounds. And at the other end of the scale, that Kawasaki Z1000 is monstrous dry weight of 529 pounds. So it's lighter than that, but it's not, I call a lightweight, but the bike rides like a lightweight, which is good. It rides, I would say, more like the 250s that I learnt to ride on a few decades ago. So why did I buy a bike like that? Well, if it's got two wheels and an engine, I will like it. And sometimes I like to press on with my bikes, and sometimes I like to potter around a bit. And this obviously falls more in the latter category than the former. But in fairness to it, it's a bike that you can do more than potter on. I've seen and read stories of people doing thousands of miles on one of these and going touring and having a fabulous time with it. So that was one reason I bought it. The second reason I've bought it is I actually fancy customizing a bike, and I have done for a while, and I thought that would be a great base model to do it because it's a good value for money, and I could probably do quite a few things on it and still not break the bank in terms of getting it so that it's very personal to me. So the things that I'm looking at doing are, I like the way it rides and the riding position, so I don't want to be too radical, but I might think about the internals of those front forks. Engine-wise, there's quite a few modifications, and I think, bearing in mind, I've just talked about the earlier CCs of the bike, I don't think it'd be going too far away from its heritage to put a big ball kit on that, so I'll be exploring that. And I will, if I'm doing the front suspension, front forks, it makes sense to do the rear as well, because that's they're, I say, adequate, but nothing stunning. I certainly wouldn't be looking to do anything to do on the bike to really significantly increase the top speed, but I think it's got nice torque, and if I can add to that by an upgrade, then it might well be fun. If you'd like to follow me on that journey, then please press subscribe and I'll keep you updated about what I'm doing. But in the meanwhile, thank you very much for watching, and I'm just off for a potter around the sunny Cotswolds.